story of Cristal Fuentes, a woman who was forced to move to New York after Hurricane Maria destroyed her home. The sad story is she is not the only one. That's why I will be talking about the impact of hurricanes in 2017 on the economic state of the residents in Puerto Rico. So, what did the hurricanes do to the economic state of these residents? Well, there are three main points. There is the unemployment, the housing, and the education. So I'm going to be talking about the unemployment rate. In this chart by the Establishment Survey and others, we can see that in 2005, in the area of mining, logging, and construction, the employment was set for 1,053. And then in 2017, that decreased to 887. And then in the area of manufacturing, the employment was set for 117, and that decreased to 73. And in this more detailed graph by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, we can see how many people were employed before the storm, which was about 1,761,900 people. And we can see how that dramatically decreased and how the governor tried to fix it but was unsuccessful. Now I'm going to be talking about housing. In a study conducted by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, about 740,000 homes were inspected, and it was found that 126,000 units were damaged, and about 1,300 residents experienced major or total damage to the properties. And of course, the low-income homes were affected majorly compared to the higher-income homes because of the quality of the construction. Now, like the rats had to grow bigger teeth to adapt to their changing environments in the college stimuli urban evolution, Puerto Ricans have also had to adapt to their changing environments, which were a loss in electricity and a loss in water. Hurricane Maria caused over 4.0 million hours of interruption. This is the second largest power outage in recorded history. Now, this did depend on the location. Cities like Arecibo, Bayamón, and Guayama experienced 150 interruptions, while Ponce and Mayagüez received 80 interruptions. Even though Ponce did receive lesser interruptions, this was Ponce before the storm, and this was Ponce about 2 days after the storm. Now, homes were not the only place in where there were power outages. Also, institutions like schools did not have any electricity. In a study conducted by Roman and others, it was found that about 265 schools, which is 24% of the total schools in Puerto Rico, remained open, which resulted in the displacement of about 47,000 students and 4,000 teachers. And this more detailed, in 2006, we can see the change from 2006 to 2019. We can see how in 2006, 1,151 operating schools, and then that decreased to 855. Now, students have also had to adapt to their environment. Here is 10-year-old Alana Rivera having to do her homework by a flashlight on her balcony. As I said, many students have had to work by candlelight and flashlights, and they could not access their textbooks nor the internet, which did affect their performance. And in this study, it was shown that about 150 pharmacy students, out of those, 70 were negatively affected, and about 1/3 felt like they were not functioning as well as they did before these events. And in this quote, we can see how it was very hard for educators and classmates to reach each other because of the lack of work and communication systems. So how were teachers affected? Their work and life balance was affected. Everybody was going through something. Yet teachers were expected to be support systems for their students regarding of their personal lives. And of course, their economic state. Teachers were not getting paid because they were not teaching, but teaching was their main source of income, so a lot of them had to move and get other jobs. These are some stories that further prove my point. It was hard, and it was for the students too, and you had to give them support, said a teacher in Puerto Rico. We became responsible about everything that had happened, and we, the teachers, rescued the school, said a teacher in Puerto Rico. A resident of Puerto Rico said how the school's cafeteria opened for breakfast, lunch for everybody in the community. It was necessary because there was no electricity. The food started to go bad and there were lines. Well, here we felt the refugee of being fed, and we can also bring out family. Conclusion. To conclude, just like a Haitian resident said after a natural disaster, now we can't find food to eat. There must be a revolution, even if 500,000 people die, better than that for us to spend the rest of our lives suffering together. It's time for Puerto Ricans to stand up and fight for the common well-being of the island. Thank you for your attention.
All right, I got two questions for you. First up, what evidence did you gather but you didn't use, and then why'd you choose not to use it?
Yeah, so I had a lot of government, but I feel like that was just another topic that is so broad that it could be used for a more specific and only argument, if you know what I mean.
All right, and if you had more time, what additional research would you conduct on this issue?
Again, I would go more in depth on the experiences of the people, and I would want their opinions on how the government handled it.